formally right now. Hi, I hope everyone's having a great day. Welcome to the Q&A for the Delegate of Communications Law Student Division Council position. My name is Justice Yuille, and I proudly serve as the Vice Chair of the Law Student Division Council. First and foremost, thank you both for being here and also for submitting an application to serve law students across the country. Just a little bit of background information. SBA presidents, ABA reps, and law student liaisons go on record with the ABA, and they will be voting for 5 positions, including this one, during the week of April 7th. And so voting will take place from April 7th to April 11th. And make sure you watch your email for an electronic ballot. You can also visit the American Bar Association website to see candidates' resumes and position statements. That's what people can do. So here's the format for this Q&A. The Q&A really should last no longer than 40 minutes or about like 30 to 40 minutes. Candidates, you do get 2 minutes to give an opening statement introducing yourselves and giving brief remarks. After that, you will be asked a series of questions pulled from members of the council, really pulled from me, by the way. And then each candidate, you all will have a chance to answer the question. When you do answer the question, please limit your response to 1 minute. Leftover time will not carry over. I will keep the time for you all. If you do mention another candidate in your response, please note that that candidate will have a chance to respond. And then we'll just randomly select who goes first and then rotating who goes first for each question thereafter. After the series of questions, we will give you 1 minute, each of you 1 minute for closing statements. And then after closing statements, of course, we'll say thank you and the viewers for their time. And then again, remind everyone that voting week is April 7th to the 11th. And so without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started with opening statements. 1 second, let me get my timer rolling. Reminder that opening statements last 2 minutes. And so Nicholas, we're going to start with you. Is that okay?
Of course.
So whenever you start speaking is when I will start the time.
Sure. Hi everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here and being on the live stream to listen to us. My name is Nicholas Caicedo. I'm a 1L at Pace Law, and I'm running to be your Delegate of Communications, Publications, and Outreach. I think the basis of communication is transparency, community, and most importantly, uplifting others. And through my work as a paralegal and work as a program specialist where I spearheaded free initiatives for youth in my community, I really know what communication means. Um, Now I'm a representative for several on-campus organizations, and quickly want to just discuss some pillars in my campaign and things that I want to bring to the ABA. Those being better interactive communication hubs, a student spotlight series that's more expansive, um, for the Student Lawyer magazine, a Law Connect, a mentorship network I have in mind, and more tech forward innovation that I plan to use that I used in my previous positions. I hope to discuss more in these 40 minutes. But as for now, thank you so much, and I hope you vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. Okay, Sandra, you will be next. And when you start speaking is when I will start the time.
Sounds good. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for hosting this Q&A. My name is Sandra Edwards, and I'm originally from Stuart, Florida. I went to undergrad at Central Michigan University, and I say that all because I ended up back in Florida at the University of Florida Law School, where I am a 1L. So I've just gone through most of my first year, and it's been really exciting and a great process to learn and really expand, who you are and what you're trying to be. So here I am running for ABA Delegate of Communications. Um, Communication in general is a big pillar in my life. That's how I, connect with people. That's how I grow as a person. And I've learned that a lot through athletics. I grew up playing lacrosse. I played lacrosse at a collegiate level. I was, the freshman newbie all the way up to a captain, leading our team to consecutive conference championships. And just through that process, you go through all the pillars of communication, and I really find value in every perspective. So I would just like to bring that to ABA and expand that role in any way that I can and help others. I was a first generation law student, so one of my initiatives would like to be to expand communication through the ABA to undergraduates and pre-law programs, etc. But again, like Nicholas said, I would just hope to communicate that through the questions and answers going forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. And then Aisha, whenever you start talking is when I will start the time.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here and, of course, meet with all of these wonderful people who have so many great ideas. My name is Aisha. I'm originally from Las Vegas, but I attend school at USF, School of Law, and it's such a pleasure to run for the Delegate of Communications, Outreach, and Publications with the ABA's Law Student Division. I'm running mostly because I've had so much experience in communications and outreach. Growing up, working with different nonprofits, my family was heavily involved in community service, and I really saw the impact of, the skills and knowledge that you can apply to uplift communities and really empower them for good. Recently, before law school, I worked at a big law firm in New York, and I got to take those skills and put them into practice. I was a professional staff liaison, and I united people of Asian and Middle Eastern descent internationally by putting up events and coffee chats and really bringing this sense of community within. And so I hope to do the same. For me in this position, it's really about community and scholarship. I definitely echo what Sandra says is bringing, together resources for people who aren't in law school yet, but also those who are first generation students, who come from adversity, who come from backgrounds that may be underrepresented. And secondly, to encourage people to bring up their voice and ideas. I think that's what the basis of this organization relies on. And the more voices we have, the better we're able to have a future tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you all for those wonderful opening statements. Now we will begin with the questions. This is just a gentle reminder, like I said, that everyone will have 1 minute to answer each question. Aisha, since we started with you last, you're going to be the first one to answer. Sandra, answer the first question. Sandra, you're going to be the second. Nicholas, you're going to be the third for the first question. So without further ado, the first question is, what previous leadership experience do you have within and outside of the ABA? Once again, you have 1 minute to answer the question. I will turn my mic off, but when I do this, just know that you don't have any more seconds left and everything. So Aisha, we're going to start with you. The question is, what previous leadership experience do you have within and outside of the ABA?
So currently, and previous and ongoing, I would say I'm currently volunteering with the Bar Association here in San Francisco, and that works closely with the ABA when it comes to making those CLE programs, which is educating attorneys in the field, but also providing networking opportunities and a lot of pro bono legal services. So I think the best part of that is that I've been able to be proactive. First year law students don't often take the time to engage with members of the community outside of school. And so I've really been able to spearhead some of the outreach programs that we have, which is engaging students and practitioners to come to our pro bono clinics on a monthly basis and give back to people who come from low-income backgrounds or simply, are disabled and have other legal matters to pertain. So I think those experiences have really encouraged me to pursue an opportunity like this because I would be helping students just like me who are in need of resources and community.
Thank you so much. Sandra, the question is, what previous leadership experience do you have within and outside of the ABA? Once you begin speaking, I will start the time.
Yeah, thank you. So I will continue where I stopped previously. I played lacrosse growing up, so I was captain of my collegiate lacrosse team my senior year. And I will leave that where it is. I was captain. I was the delegate between my coach and my team, which was really awesome to hear all of the different perspectives from my team and be able to fight for them again. Not against my coach, but fight for them, fight for their voice. So similarly, I was the captain of the national Chinese women's lacrosse team. So that was a really awesome opportunity playing on a national stage. But then outside of lacrosse, I was the chief of staff and 1 year, and then the next year year, I was the director of operations for the Student Government Association at my previous undergrad school. I was also the president of Phi Alpha Delta Law Fraternity for 2 years. And now I serve as treasurer for the Florida Law Running Club and student representative for the Student Bar Association at UF. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Nicholas, the question is once again, what previous leadership experience do you have within and outside of the ABA? Once you begin speaking, I will start the time.
Sure. So I want to first touch on my County Bar Association experience. I'm a Westchester County Bar delegate here in my county. And with them, I've been also able to do SCLE programming and galas and initiatives within the Westchester County Bar. Aside from that, I was a former paralegal. I worked with immigrants, a lot of people deep rooted in my community to help them gain access to legal resources. And as a program specialist for my Austin Youth Bureau, I just created free initiatives for students who, lack access to health programs, to sports programs, to academic programs. And I think the accumulation of all these different plethora of abilities where I've been able to communicate and be transparent, uplift others, really just hones my skills and will help me in this role. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so the next question is what is a two-part question. So the first part is what is your understanding of the time commitment involved with this position? What are your other priorities and commitments for the coming year, so incoming this year? And what priority will be given to your ABA position should you be elected? So I'm going to say it again, and then I'm going to say who's going to answer first. What is your understanding of the time commitment involved with this position? What are your other priorities and commitments for the coming year? And what priority will be given to your ABA position should you be elected? Sandra, you're going to answer first. Aisha, you're going to answer second. And then Nicholas, you're going to answer last. So Sandra, whenever you start speaking, I will start the time.
Thanks. So I understand that the time commitment for this position would be extensive, and I'm really eager and excited to make it one of my priorities going into this next year. So this next year, obviously, with a course load for my 2L, and also I am the newly elected Student Bar Association Vice President. So that is also a time commitment that I understand I would have to balance, but I'm eager to do so because I think that both of them work hand in hand. If I understand what my school needs or would enjoy participating in, I think I can implement that within the ABA if I were to be elected delegate, and also just learn from each role and each position and apply to the other, making it, either one stronger and trying to balance both during the year.
Thank you. Okay, Aisha, the question is, what is your understanding of the time commitment involved with this position? What are your other priorities and commitments for the coming year? And what priority will be given to your ABA position should you be elected?
Great question. I think balance is especially key. And as an incoming attorney, that's kind of that juggle that you have to figure out essentially. But I'm really grateful that in the course of the first, semester and a half, I've really had a good understanding of how to organize my time and be efficient. I understand that this, at a minimum requires 10 to 15 hours, and that's just at its base. That's going to be, in addition to some of the other additional responsibilities that I hope to spearhead in, empowering and uplifting the ABA Law Student Division. And so this will, of course, take top priority as an extracurricular. My academics definitely come first, but I'm very willing and eager to work alongside everyone who's been in this position before and who have, maybe advice and guidance for me as I progress. I mean, ultimately, I'm here for the other law students. I'm here to serve as a voice for them. And so that, of course, takes precedence over many of the other initiatives that are going on in my life as well.
Thank you. Nicholas, the question is, what is your understanding of the time commitment involved with this position? What are your other priorities and commitments for the coming year? And what priority will be given to your ABA position should you be elected?
Thank you. So, like Aisha said, I know that this commitment is 10 to 15 hours, but I also plan to, uh, do more. But despite that, I really want to just encourage, uh, you know, the ABA communication, like to make it, what am I saying? Sorry. To just use it as a beacon to, convey this platform to other people. As for the priority of my other priorities, I am going to continue to be a representative for Phi Alpha Delta, to continue to be a Westchester County Bar delegate, and planning to run for the Latin American Law Student Association vice president position. And despite all of that, I've been doing all of these, initiatives and extracurriculars. Um, while I'm in law school and I continue to add things, I think organization is the key to success. And I really hope to hone my, my voice as a gay, Hispanic, first generation man into this position and, continue to uplift others in this. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question is, what makes you qualified for the position? So the order will be Nicholas, you're going to go first, Aisha, you're going to go second, and Sandra, you're going to go third. So the question is, once again, what makes you qualified for the position?
So I think what makes me qualified is, like I mentioned before, is just all the accumulation of all these organizations that I've been able to, uplift and help. I My youth bureau started with, 4 people, and now we're essentially a nonprofit. My As a paralegal at a nonprofit at an immigration firm, you often don't have that many resources, but you learn how to connect, you learn how to be friendly, and you learn how to outreach to people. Um, and now in my positions at Pace Law, I've continued to flourish with those communication roles. I think what really helps me is my experience, my ability to be compassionate and understand where people are coming from with all my diverse and unique insights, and to truly just be transparent and, say what the deal is, but also communicate what's necessary.
Thank you. The question is, once again, what makes you qualified for the position?
So I think, all of us have such great experiences and we've really held these amazing titles. But for me, I think what qualifies me for this role is my soft skills, the ability to unite people who are not of, maybe the same background as you. People can still relate and find that shared ground, middle ground. I think the other is being an active listener. Part of this position is listening to what the students want to see published in the student lawyer blog. What do they want to see be expressed, on a broader scale and addressed maybe in social media and communications? And so I think those two soft skills are very important to me. I've, tried to be compassionate and just as equally someone who is a voice of reason in those circumstances. And I think those soft skills are really what qualify for me for this role because of that importance just going forward.
Thank you. So the question, once again, is what makes you qualified for the position?
Thank you. I actually think what makes me qualified for the position would be kind of learning through failure, growing through failure. I think that through experiences I've had in my past where there has been a lack of communication, a lack of inaccessibility, it's become very apparent where needs need to be met and how those needs can be met, and then how success can be grown from just communicating. So I would say that, what makes me qualified for this position is failure and learning through it. My experiences within the student government with on a lacrosse team, like two very different situations, just learning like how some people work compared to others, how others communicate, and how best reach people. And I think that's an initiative I would like to do if I were be elected this position, because to reach students where they're at is a very busy time, and I think it needs to be accessible and easily gained. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So the next question is, what ideas do you have for the Law Student Podcast? Once again, what ideas do you have for the Law Student Podcast? Aisha, you're going to go first. Sandra, you're going to go second. Nicholas, you're going to go third. So whenever you start talking, I will start the time.
Awesome. So I think what's most important to me is really hearing from people's experiences and insights. That's, kind of the way I was able to even attend law school is from people telling me, frankly, like, this is my journey and this is how I was able to reach here. And so I think we can really incorporate, maybe day in the life series of where we take students across the country and we ask them, how is your experience going to this school? What is some of your considerations maybe in your job? Some of the classes you've taken and what has guided that. I think once you pick students across the country who can really give their perspective, that will be invaluable. Secondly, I'd like to talk about a lot of the salient issues that are impacting student life. For example, there's a rollback of DE&I. How does that change the prospect of our career? For example, there are changes to the bar exam, the LSAT, as well as, the financial considerations because law school is such a taxing journey. And so once we tackle those salient issues and bring in diverse perspectives, I think that will change the game for the law student division going forward.
Thank you so much. Sandra, the question is, what ideas do you have for the Law Student Podcast?
I would say that my answer would be two-part. What going in undergrad, I had no idea how to apply to law school. And I think that was very apparent, going into my junior year, needing to study and prep for the LSAT. And it was a self-guided process. I did have resources within my school, thankfully, that I went to continuously to try to learn more about it. And I think, a podcast series is just about step-by-step guide to how do I apply to law school? What does that mean? What does that look like? And then what does that look like going forward? And the second part of that would be once you're in law school, like what are the different positions that you're even able to, gain after graduating law school or during the summer? I think that I didn't even know what, business litigation was or what that meant. And then all the different sectors of business litigation, are also important. And then also the heightened speed of applications as a 2L for the 2L summer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And then, Nicholas, the question once again is, what ideas do you have for the Law Student Podcast?
Sure. So I think a focal point in my campaign has really been just this human factor and bringing in representation. I think as law students, we're sometimes we like our achievements aren't there sometimes, and sometimes we feel let down. I really want to bring that into both the Student Lawyer magazine and the podcast, just highlighting achievements, whether you're doing some pro bono work, whether you just pass something. I want to talk to students and really get their thoughts and make them feel, welcomed and heard because that's something that I think is often missed. The ABA has an amazing job with representation, but I think we can even go further. And I really just want to bring that into my ideas for the podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So the next question is, what systems would you put in place to ensure that we generate a steady stream of engaging content? Once again, what systems would you put in place to ensure that we generate a steady stream of engaging content? Sandra, you're going to answer this question first. Nicholas, you're going to answer second. Aisha, you're going to be last.
Thanks. So to make a steady stream of engaging content, I think something really important is hearing a lot of voices, and that way there's a lot of ideas flowing. So I would honestly like form some sort of committee just for social media, just for emails, so that we could hear a lot of student voices across the nation to bring in engaging content and then to create, posts or videos or just email boards to express, the rising concerns or progressive thoughts of our generation.
Thank you. The question is, once again, what systems would you put in place to ensure that we generate a steady stream of engaging content?
Sure. So I want to mention three things. The first is infographics. As law students, we don't have that much time. I honestly see like long emails and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I really just want to like condense the information and then provide what's essential to students. My second idea would be Log Connect. It's an idea that I've been thinking for a while. It would just be a national wide like mentorship program or communication program where students from different interests and backgrounds can interact with other students. And then that third, I'd say, is interactive communication halls, whether that be town halls or suggestion boxes or forums from every single law school based on what students really want. And I would really just bring that and hone that into my position as a delegate. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Once again, the question is, what systems would you put in place to ensure that we generate a steady stream of engaging content?
I think there are two. The first is, the news, frankly, and the second is developing a sort of feedback portal. So with the news, our generation is really given the gift of technology, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. And in that portal, many people are able to access a variety of news across the country, across the world. So I think it's one, being cognizant of the types of topical things that are impacting society and being able to capitalize off that, because people need to know about how it impacts their, academic or career path. And secondly, I think, again, going back to giving students a voice, we are here, we're merely like, to serve as a voice for others. And so I think maybe by hosting polls on all across all social media channels, and simply, opening up to the ABA members and representatives who are already a part of the program, and ask them, what can you ask your students? What ideas do they have? And maybe submit it on a monthly, bi-monthly basis for us to constantly have that system of content creation.
Thank you so much. The next question is, what issues do you think the law student division should be a thought leader on? So once again, what issues do you think the law student division should be a thought leader on? Aisha, you're going to answer first. Nicholas, you're going to answer second. Sandra, you're going to answer last.
So this is definitely a very loaded question, because I think there's so many things to address here. But definitely the first is the advent of artificial intelligence. I think we should be a thought leader in terms of how that's going to be integrated into schools, like law schools, but also, kind of help students say, hey, this is a skill that's going to take you very far. And of course, it has the potential to take over some of our mundane tasks. So how can we get ahead of it? And how can we prepare students best for that future? And I think the second part of it is really navigating a world that is constantly changing. I mean, as I mentioned, the rollback of DEI puts a lot of different minorities, myself, in a different situation now. And so how do we address that? You're seeing across the country people, like, different voices being marginalized and frankly just being cut down. So we need to ensure that people still have a forum where they can freely speak and express their ideas and still be uplifted. I think these are two main concerns that the ABA LST can definitely work on and really spearhead for the future.
Thank you. The question is once again, what issues do you think the law student division should be a thought leader on? Once you speak, I will start the time.
Sure. So I think like my other candidates mentioned, I think for being a first generation is really important. Sometimes you really don't know like when I did my LSAT, I mainly used Reddit. I didn't even know what I was doing, worked out. And then DEI initiatives, I think, are super important. I think it's important to see someone in a position, in a leadership position, when you have your own experiences. I think it's important to convey that as you lead, through my ideas through podcasts and student lawyers magazine. So I would really like to incorporate more of that DEI stuff now more than ever. It's super important to be strong together and to be prominent and not let people put us down. And I really want to integrate that into my campaign.
Thank you so much. The question is once again, what issues do you think LSD should be a thought leader on?
Thank you. So I think one thing that I have mentioned previously, and that's, ever transpiring right now in my life, is the speed of applications going into your 2L. I know that some firms have opened their applications, some firms are closed, and some firms haven't opened their applications. And it's really it's fear provoking for a lot of my classmates and I, because we don't know what we're supposed to be doing and when we're supposed to be doing it. And although the ABA can't just solve that with a snap of their fingers, I think that it's a conversation to be had, and a place for people to gather and share their concerns and share their thoughts, or even lawyers that are involved in the ABA sharing this progression, or how it's positive, or how it has a positive impact on their form, as well as students being able to voice their opinion, how it has a negative impact or maybe positive, on their 1L being very high end, high stress. Thanks.
Thank you so much. The next question is, what ideas do you have to promote the Student Lawyer magazine and Before the Bar blog? So once again, what ideas do you have to promote the Student Lawyer magazine and Before the Bar blog? Sandra, you're going to answer this question first. Aisha, you're going to answer second, and Nicholas, you're going to answer last.
I think it's been obvious through my answers, but I think social media is, ever growing and ever prevalent in law students' lives. It's what I take my 5-minute break on. So like I think that going through social media to promote these things are, going to be really influential. And I would say that, and then add having other student organizations in each law school also promote it. So I know that my student bar association at my school has an Instagram, and if we could just repost to your story, anything about the blog or the magazine, that way we can broadcast it and have people, you subscribe or get used to the content, and then when they need it the most, they'll be able to go to those resources, and it'll just be more prevalent and in front of them, and then it's something to talk about, and it'll be more communicative across law schools across the nation.
Thank you. The question is, what ideas do you have to promote the Student Lawyer magazine and Before the Bar blog?
Great question. I think, going back to one of my points of how our generation has really had this gift of social media, we can definitely capitalize off of TikTok, for example, and we can, we're able to cater to a wide variety of audiences in that way, not just the country. That will get people, even international students, involved and say, hey, there's opportunities in the US or, other places abroad of where they can pursue law or learn from other practitioners in the field. I think another part of it is really collaborating and relying on, one, the ABA representatives across the schools that we have, and really, integrate, hey, these are the resources and blogs that we have out that you can give to, your students, your teachers, but also people who are part of different clubs. We see a lot of firms, for example, partnering with different affinity groups, and that would be great for us. They have like the National Asian Lawyers Association, and there's, the Women's Lawyers Association. We can partner with them and really build long-term connections and essentially flourish worldwide if we're able to establish those relationships early on, I think.
Thank you so much. And then once again, the question is, what ideas do you have to promote the Student Lawyer magazine and Before the Bar blog?
Sure. So, along with my colleagues or candidates, I think social media is important, but one social media platform that I especially look on like every single day is LinkedIn. I think students use LinkedIn like on a daily basis, and creating infographics and informational, sites would really help students out. And I think another one is um, I think a big thing that we're dealing with right now is student disconnect, and being on campus and showing students what the ABA has to offer, the student blog, the student lawyer magazine, and all these other benefits is super essential. So I would say those two is connecting more on workplace platforms in addition to social media, but also more importantly connecting with the people themselves who are part of the ABA, the students who want to know more, who want to learn more about the student lawyer magazine. That's all about communication. And I think that's super fundamental. Thank you.
Thank you. And so the next question is, one major priority for the LSD is to recruit more free and premium law student members. How can you use the ABA publications to reach more students who are not already members and get them interested in the ABA? So once again, the question is, one major priority for the LSD is to recruit more free and premium law student members. How can you use the ABA publications to reach more students who are not already members and get them interested in the ABA? Aisha, you're going to answer this question first. Nicholas, you're next, and Sandra, you're last.
I think, the most important part, our attention is so limited. And so from the get-go, we need to be able to establish maybe this bite-sized, digestible, spiel of talking about the resources and benefits of being a part of this program. For first and foremost to me, as all of my colleagues have mentioned, being a first generation, someone who hasn't had any sort of legal experience or background, you're very confused. You're, kind of floundering as a duck is in the pond, and you need to figure out all the information to get you to where you need to go. And so by maybe putting like 5 to 6 bullet points and putting it in a manner where people can really understand, okay, joining this program gives me mentorship. It gives me access and opportunities to meet with practitioners in fields that I'm interested in. It gives me financial scholarships or aid that I wasn't aware of previously. Those types of things I think will really help students get more involved in this council and division in general, because they'll understand the impact it has on them, but also the broader impact it has on their community and on other law schools as well.
Thank you. The question is, how can you use the ABA publications to reach more students who are not already members and get them interested in the ABA?
So I think my experience in the Austin Youth Bureau, where we were essentially two people and then grew to a nonprofit, is just an example of me being able to communicate from nothing to something really big. I think what's something that's really important with the disconnect right now is, you know, students have to learn what the ABA about. It's not just, ooh, let me get a sticker, let me get a water bottle. It's not just that. It's the resources, it's the mentorship committee, it's the publications that you have that you're able to write and that you're able to read about. It's the student lawyer magazine and the podcast. I think we really need to convey more of what we do and why it's important that there's these materials. And I think if we're able to really uplift the people who want to know more, to highlight student achievements and highlight pro bono events that students have been hosting or that schools have been doing, it'll really like bring that sense of community and allow people to be more welcomed into the ABA. So surely just thank you so much.
And the question is once again, how can you use the ABA publications to reach more students who are not already members and get them interested in the ABA?
I think that when people get emails from, a company or business that they don't know, they don't necessarily read them. So I would really love to start an initiative that is communicating between schools. So we have an ABA representative communicate this to the whole school, whether that be through an administrator, which I know that my school, we have to go through an administrator, or just a mass email to all your classmates saying, "Hey, this is what the ABA can provide, and this is how it looks like becoming a member, and this is the resources that you have," I think is a much more tangible way to approach the situation, given that like my colleagues have said, like you don't have much time in the day, but when you do, you're looking up to your elders, your 3Ls at the school, and when they send an email out, you would probably listen a little bit more than a very pretty and thought-provoking email, just something quick, fast and easy from a 3L who's really encouraging, yeah, the membership. Thanks.
Thank you so much. So the next question is, it's two-part. What is your favorite life motto or philosophy that you have? And how do you apply this philosophy to your leadership abilities? So, what is your favorite life motto that you have? And how do you apply it to your leadership abilities? Nicholas, you're going to answer first. Sandra, you're going to answer second. And Aisha, you're going to answer last.
Sure. So a motto that I definitely live by, both as a rock climber and someone who's first generation and gay, is lift as you climb. I think it's really important to, open doors and leave those doors open and then help people along the way to enter into those outlets. Um, I think I've been doing it good so far. I'm a youth mentor to numerous students and I do numerous student leadership. So I think that's my motto is helping other if you gain that access and you're able to break through this barrier, now it's your responsibility to help others and help them flourish as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So the question once again is, what is your favorite life motto or philosophy that you have, and how do you apply this philosophy to your leadership abilities?
So I actually came up with a motto recently that is, a description of a lot of the challenges that I've been through in life. It's you're only as capable as you make yourself capable of. And that has a lot behind it, but that helps me lead because it helps me lead by example. No matter what the circumstances are, I know that I can achieve it. I know that I can power through it, but I have to make sure that I initiate that challenge. I have to make sure that I devote myself to those things to become capable of doing, said thing, whatever that may be. Given I was dyslexic when I started reading, and how I've progressed to become a law student, I just lived by that motto. Thanks.
Thank you. And then Aisha, last but certainly not least, what is your favorite life motto or philosophy that you have? And then how does this philosophy apply to your leadership abilities?
Yeah, this is something I think about often, and I think for me, it's do unto others as you would have done unto you. And, growing up, for example, I used to eat a lot and I love food in general. And then I saw this really intense documentary of how they slaughtered chicken. This is a little bit morbid, but that kind of inspired me to, go completely vegetarian. And I'm also part of our animal rights program at my law school. And so I think it just speaks to not just showing compassion to people and also animals, regardless of if they're, human or not. It's really the sense of compassion that you should treat everyone with respect and kindness. Even as a lawyer, we're taught that in professional responsibility. Even if an opposing counsel says something that you don't agree with, ultimately we're here fighting for in the same court for justice and truth. And so I think I've taken that as a leader to mean that, I really treat everyone as equal, and their insights and perspectives are just as valuable and monumental to progress as mine are. And I think as long as we collaborate together, we really can make something out of nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. I love y'all's answers. I'm gonna have to write those down when I look at the recording. Okay, so the last question before we get to closing statements is what does it mean to be a zealous advocate for the rule of law? Because, and the reason that this is the last question, as the vice chair of the Law Student Division, every single one of us, whether it's delegate of communications, whether it's chair, vice chair, we all are zealous advocates in various ways, right? And so, delegate of communications is a very unique position where you are an advocate, right? Whether it's through the podcast, whether it's through a newsletter, you are an advocate. So the question is, what does it mean to be a zealous advocate for you all in the rule of law? So the first person who's going to answer is Aisha, Nicholas, your second, and then Sandra, your third.
So what I've learned, actually, my torts professor made this comment. He said, the law doesn't care about your feelings. And I think sometimes, especially when you're in a position of power, as you are as as a law student or even an attorney, you need to be able to separate your emotions sometimes from the truth and something that you're fighting for. And I think that's really important because that allows you to be unbiased, but also put forth a really logical and cohesive argument. I think also for me, it's also about standing up for what's right. We're seeing a lot of things being done in society, and it's not for the best, and it also sometimes is for the best. But when there are injustices happening, it's really important, I think, to use your voice and fight hard against that, because ultimately you are your own advocate, and you are in this position, you're an advocate for others. And if you don't stand up, then I think that wall and barrier will continue to rise. And so for me, it's really about being both compassionate, kind of this balance between compassionate, being unbiased and objective, but also standing up and being a vocal advocate of truth.
Thank you so much. The question is once again to you, what does it mean to be a zealous advocate for the rule of law?
So for me, that means leading with integrity. That means leading with confidence, and most importantly, representing my past experiences and representing others. I think that's super important. I think it's important to, teach people about the mechanisms of law. Oftentimes, it can be super complex and diswarming. I worked as a immigration paralegal, and people are dealing with these frameworks that are complex and uncertain. And I think it's super important to help people represent them and teach them what the law is so they're not so scared of it. So I think integrity and confidence are super important components into that. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Sandra, last but certainly not least, to you, what does it mean to be a zealous advocate for the rule of law?
Yeah, so to be a zealous advocate, I'd say the biggest thing is to be passionate, which I know a lot about. I love to devote myself to something and I love to be passionate about it. So similarly applied to the law, I think that as attorneys, we will want to not only uphold the law and uphold justice, but we want to do it right in an efficient way and but alongside of our morals and alongside public policy, to where we're promoting, social justice and we're promoting things that are important to the community. In our position of authority, whether that be helping somebody at a minute scale or promoting it, from our platform within the courtroom. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so much. So now we're going to begin closing statements. This is just a gentle reminder that closing statements are 1 minute. This is really your best pitch to the voters. I mean, give your best pitch. So Sandra, you're going to go first. Aisha, you're going to go second. And Nicholas, you're going to go last, okay? And whenever you start talking is when I will start the time. Make sure you...
I
yeah,
saw that. Thank you.
I'll
As
start.
a
Go ahead.
1L, I'm in a position to be flexible and eager and driven to make an impact. I want to help streamline communication for our division and beyond, making it more accessible and useful for everyone involved. In conclusion, I'm excited about the opportunity to serve as ABA Law School Division Delegate of Communications. I am confident that with my background, enthusiasm, and commitment to fostering communication, I can help drive positive change within the ABA and contribute to a more connected, informed, and engaged law student body. Thank you.
Okay. Aisha, you're next.
So I believe my experiences working with different nonprofits growing up, as well as my leadership experiences prior to and in law school, have really made me well suited for this role. I was, for example, at the United Citizens Foundation, doing lots of help on the ground, healthcare work, as well as now I'm working with pro bono teams to really conduct outreach for students, constituents, as well as practitioners. To me, this position is really about community development and scholarship, whether that's bringing up the voices of the students through bulletin boards and feedback portals, or simply by hosting contests, polls, and Day in the Life series through our different publications and blogs. For me, I think my impactful communication combined with my passion to elevate diverse voices makes me very well suited to be your delegate of communications, publications, and outreach for the American Bar Association Law Student Division. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Nicholas, you are next.
Right. So I want to start by saying lift as you climb. I really want to strive others to, communicate with the ABA, to learn about the student podcast. I want to create these initiatives where students feel represented and heard and create networking contacts and create better tech innovative solutions to a lot of the student disconnect we have right now. I hope that through my platform that I have either conveyed to you so far or that you will be getting soon, that you will learn more about me. I hope that you vote for me as your delegate of communications. I think communication, transparency, and innovation are super important, and I will continue to have those pillars in my platform so far. So I promise if you vote for me, I will, you know, do so much for the community and provide everything that I have discussed thus far. So thank you so much.
And that concludes the Q&A session for the Delegate of Communications position for the Law Student Division Council. On behalf of the Law Student Division Council, I want to say thank you so much to each of you for, one, taking the time to be here, but also, two, providing invaluable answers that the voters will be able to listen to and make a very educated decision. So once again, thank you so much for taking the time be here. Just so you all know, once again, like I said previously, the SBA presidents, ABA reps, and the law student liaisons, they will be able to listen to this recording, and they will be able to vote for 5 positions, including this one, on April 7th through the 11th. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.